Hey minions, welcome to Crank It Up. I'm Jim Price, and on today's episode of Calling All Titans, I'll be talking about a card that's technically a Titan because the card says Titan. With Essen this week, in all likelihood, someone is going to post all the cards after purchasing the set there. So for my last video before that happens, I'm choosing to talk about this Titan. For the truest Crank It Up fans, there are only two unrevealed Titans, and one of those I really like, which is why I'm saving it for the end to end on something positive. Today you get this, a faction that many expected to get a Titan. This faction is carried by a few key cards, despite thematically being a powerhouse of Japanese warriors, and of course I'm talking about ninjas. I think the ninjas are the faction most hurt by Titan McTitan Face, because McTitan Face understands how destruction is supposed to work as far as avoiding Kaimal. But because Sharks got all the good benefits, ninjas needed to get something different, and I would argue that these two abilities are extremely generic. In fact, I was so tempted months ago to reveal the talent and see if players could guess the Titan faction because it's an odd fit, which we will see in a bit. But first we need to talk about our three main questions. Where did ninjas go wrong? What do they need? And what does this Titan give them? Ninjas break all sorts of rules and really show their age. They have a strong destruction game, but destruction is bad and ninjas are painfully slow. They live and die with a few key cards. Mostly Shinobi, the great VP stealer, and I have played countless ninja games where Shinobi, Hidden Ninja, and Ninja Master are really the only ninja cards I play. I've talked at length about how the Acolyte has no internal candidates. Tiger Assassin breaks the Bandit corollary of the Sonus rule, while also being actionized in Seeing Stars. If you don't want to destroy, or worse, you can't, this faction doesn't offer much. They don't have the tools to win completely in Phase 3 alone, and mostly just settle for second place or swinging tight bases. They famously contain the worst defensive card in the game, and also one of the worst double features in the game that is as close to a card rewrite as we can get. They can't make great use of Disguise, which I think is their most interesting card. Being completely lopsided, they need better cards or to make their destruction matter. Unfortunately, the Invisible Ninja does neither. The Invisible Ninja has an entry criteria that you can discard a card to play this Titan on a base where you have a minion. This is tough for me, because I often read this as a meaningless card discard that Smash Up does all too often, but Titan shouldn't be freely replayable, so the discard prevents that. At the same time, this makes Smoke Bomb much better, because instead of debating which card to discard, you can just discard Smoke Bomb, but this only works once. Despite the discard, the Titan is fairly easy to play, even on the first turn. Once in play, what does it do? This is a little verbose, so I'm just going to read it verbatim. Once per turn, after you play 14 out of 20 ninja cards, a list that astonically does not include Smoke Bomb, because let's be real, you discarded it to play this Titan, you may look at the top two cards of your deck, draw one, and shuffle the other into your deck. Yes, they got card draw. Since it's apparently illegal to give the ninjas better cards, the only alternative is to give them card draw, which filters through their bad cards hoping to get to their partners, or the few extremely key ninja cards. So what actually triggers the ongoing? Two discretely different effects. Returning one of your minions to your hand, or destroying another player's card. With a little bit of creativity, those are actually combinable occurrences, but instead, the card literally, explicitly calls out both, and when you compare it against the ninja spread, I count 14 out of 20 cards that trigger the ongoing. Now, because you have to destroy another player's card, there's potentially a crazy scenario where Smoke Bomb, through its retroactive destruction, destroys another player's card, but there is a question of credit because this can lead to a contradiction. But if this comes up, I'll be shocked, because you can just tap a Ninja Acolyte itself to play itself again, and as much as it pains me to say this, they should have just made it TDAC. Because Ninja Acolyte's play has to be immediate, because reasons, you can't even make use of the card you draw to be a better outcome. The ongoing has the advantage of happening on someone else's turn, but this is extremely unlikely and not worth forgoing TDAC. The most likely occurrence is Hidden Ninja, but you can do better with the talent in general. If card draw wasn't the right fit, the Invisible Ninja is at least consistent, because the special, in my opinion, makes negative sense. At the start of your turn, you may destroy the Titan to play an extra minion of power 3 or less, which can be on any base. In my opinion, the ninjas don't need extra minion plays, they need minions to play. Power capping this ability is honestly kind of shocking, because for the ninjas, they only have two internal options. You can play Shinobi, which almost never happens in Phase 2, so why would you do it in Phase 1? You can play an Acolyte, which means that you can tap the Acolyte to play a better minion in Phase 2. So why not just play that minion anyway? Especially since the Acolyte is probably the minion you already have on the board to play the Titan, and you can only use one Acolyte per turn. Combining the entry criteria with the special, you are discarding a card for the chance to play a low-powered minion next turn. Fortunately, it's global, because otherwise it'd be even more underwhelming. I have found that these abilities just support your partner faction, because they don't really help ninjas in the way that they are needed. Does this make ninjas better? Of course, but it would make anyone better, but not enough to make me want to play ninjas, and it's such a mechanical miss for me that I can't get past it. Given the entry criteria, ninjas can expect to play an extra minion every 2 turns. On turn A, you play the Titan. On turn B, you can sacrifice it for the play. For what it's worth, I have never had an issue drawing Shinobi. I always seem to have one, and if I am losing enough bases that I need 3 Shinobis, mathematically, I'm most likely lost. Of course, multiplayer changes this up, but in my multiplayer days, I enjoyed ninjas most in 2 or 4, but not 3. Given that ninjas destroy more cards than minions returned, the card drawer seems to want to help win their war of attrition, but it hasn't played out that way for me. Ironically, if you left it at destroying any player's card, not just another player's card, then Smoke Bomb could trigger because it's destroyed at the start of your turn, which would be opportune since it would give you one last chance to trigger the Invisible Ninja ongoing and have a better option to play with its own special. You could keep it out indefinitely for a card every turn, but this only really works with Acolyte jumping. Because these abilities don't really suit ninjas but theoretically suit everyone, it was really challenging to think of partners who benefit from it enough to make me want to play with ninjas. For example, superheroes can play a citizen at the start of your turn, turning it into a 5 from your deck anywhere, and that's cool if you don't like playing minions during your turn. I didn't really enjoy it, even with the superhero Titan as well, but there are a few why not combos. There actually is a faction who returns minions to your hand and has minions of power 3 that they want to play, and that's aliens. This could be a scout that keeps returning to your hand, giving ninjas a chance at breaking a base, or it could be an invader that immediately gets collected. Here the actual game plan makes sense, as I want to keep drawing cards as I don't really want to break a base outside of a terraforming play, nicely set up by Invisible Ninja. This does help you set up a Rhodes Terraform play, since the extra minions matter there in Phase 3. Fairly one-dimensional and focused entirely on stalling, but it does work. At the very least, you are giving card draw to 2 factions who previously had none. Another faction that can destroy cards and cares about minion quantity is Magical Girls. With their free recursion, you have no issues throwing away minions you don't need, especially Magic Hats. Because the play happens in Phase 1, this is actually a good precursor to setting up your Walking Castle with your regular minion play to enable a pivot. This combo has a fairly interesting playstyle of either setting up an efficient waste play or a solo play, knowing that you can Shinobi for easy seconds and get Shinobis back, making the need to draw multiple of them a non-factor. The Magical Girls have the smallest amount of indirect card draw, so there's a fit there as well. With their talent-based debuffs and minion recursion, they can win the war of attrition, it's just particularly long. The previous combo I wanted to revisit, I chose Ninja Horses, my unexpected pairing. Horses do want the extra minion plays, but there's also something nice about drawing 2 free cards with the Rainbow Acolyte play each turn. Your turn hasn't started, and you have 2 extra cards, which really helps with their consistency. Horses with their raw solo power do want the Ninja Destruction, and what I like about this combo is playing a C-Star in Phase 1 since it is global, letting you play it onto the Rainbow space to draw a card and start your chain with more certainty, knowing that you have free movement if you don't like what you get. Just as this is technically a Titan, it does technically make ninjas better, but not in the way I'd want. It's an extreme example, but you can make Kaiju better if you gave Gorgonzola an ability to give a minion at its base 2 power. Net new effects are generally additive, they aren't good fits, they are either unsatisfying or fail to put the faction where it needs to be. I don't really enjoy playing ninjas any more than I did before. In Titan heavy games, the floor is that you discarded a card to draw another, as the low ninja power output makes it prone to clashing. If you already like ninjas, this may make you like them more, I guess. For me, it doesn't do what I needed it to do, and it's sad because they found the answer, but gave it to the wrong faction. What are your thoughts on the Invisible Ninja, and who do you think is the last unrevealed Titan? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, be sure to like and subscribe, let's shut it down.